Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Beyond the Barbell podcast. I am super excited for today's episode because I know that this topic is a hot one and is going to, I think, really trigger in the best way a lot of you out there listening. Today, I'm going to be telling and sharing my journey off of tracking macros. As an avid tracker for over a decade, I am going to share with you all the tips and secrets and just what is possible for you beyond macros. How I dropped body fat, I'm 13 months postpartum, gained strength, and found food freedom without the app, without the food scale. It is possible. If you've ever felt like tracking macros is the only way to reach your fitness goals, I used to think so too. Again, I tracked avidly for over a decade, on and off, right? It wasn't just like on for 10 years straight, but I initially, and have since changed my mind on this, really believed that this was the key to staying in shape and that it was the only way. And that, eventually it was like macros or bust in a lot of way. But here's the thing. When I stopped tracking macros, and I have been teaching my students, clients, how to do this for years, nothing changed, right? Nothing fell apart. I didn't all of a sudden gain a bunch of weight. I didn't lose all of my strength or lose my muscle definition or look less toned or, you know, not know how to eat out at a restaurant. So, and I think it's really important to recognize that all of this is possible and that MyFitnessPal and tracking your macros can be a really useful tool, but it isn't the only way to achieve your goals. So in this episode, I'm going to break down why macros can be a great tool, but they're not the only tool. Again, this is one of many tools in the tool belt. And in my opinion, for most people, general population that want to just look better and feel better, it is one of the last tools that we would even potentially use, if at all. The mindset shift that helped me transition off tracking, practical strategies for building awareness around your food choices without the app or the scale, which is honestly the hang up, right? We don't have time. We don't want to put in the time to weighing and measuring our food. And how letting go of the all or nothing mentality can actually move you closer to your goals. A lot of things that we talk about all the time here on the podcast. So you're going to learn why tracking macros isn't a one size fits all, right? Solution. Again, a lot of you have probably come from a previous coaching experience where you were given macros. Maybe they were even adjusted on a weekly basis and you just followed the macros. The problem is that when we are not following macros, because life gets extra chaotic, maybe, this is usually what happens, right? Is like life gets crazy. We don't want to weigh and measure our food. We don't have the time to weigh and measure our food. Therefore, we don't do it and we don't do it consistently. And then we gain back all of the weight that we potentially lost. We find ourselves binging on cookies. We try and have one. We end up having 5. We don't know how to act or eat when we go out to eat in restaurants. We, are barely eating 40 grams of protein a day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Also going to go over how to create a flexible, sustainable approach to your nutrition that works with your lifestyle. Because again, macros it's not like I track macros and I'm healthy or I don't track macros and I'm not healthy. And that's the problem, is a lot of people think that. And a lot of people, not even that they think that, is that they just lack the tools and resources to do it any other way. So if they're not tracking macros, they're not successful and they're unhappy with their body and up 10, 15 pounds. And it just doesn't need to be that way. And that is because we're going to talk heavily about the importance of actually building habits that empower you to make the decisions without relying on tracking apps. Again, if you've only ever chosen what to eat based off of the macros that MyFitnessPal tells you this meal has, that's a problem. If you only ever eat something after you check the calories or macros in MyFitnessPal, that's a problem. If you are, not eating when you're hungry because you don't have any more macros in your food diary for the day, that's a problem. If you're eating to hit your macros and you're not actually hungry just because you need, it says that you need to do that, that is also a problem. So we're going to go over how to get out of this vicious cycle, in my opinion, and into a sustainable way of eating that, again, still allows you to feel and look amazing, because the two are not like, it's not mutually exclusive. Like you track macros and you look good, or you don't track macros and you look like a bag of shit, right? Just like, no. And how freedom from macros doesn't mean freedom from results. Again, it just means finding what works for you. And this took me a while initially to come to terms with, because the other side of this that I've seen on the internet, and it's died down a little bit in the past year, but what was really hot, like, and popular last year and maybe a little bit the year prior, was this intuitive eating. And this was marketed as, well, you don't need to do anything. You just like eat what your body tells you to eat. And you don't need to pay attention to anything, and you're still going to look and feel great. And I think that's too far in the other direction. There's, I believe, more of this like happy medium. And that's where I've seen really great results with both myself and hundreds of my clients that I've taught this to as well. So if you're like, ooh, I'm interested, keep listening, because we're going to go over how to do it. So first and foremost, I think most people at one point in time, if you've never tracked macros before, you've never gained awareness, this is a tool to gain awareness about what you are eating. That needs to happen. It doesn't need to happen forever, but you should definitely do it. If you've never done it before, I highly recommend doing that being your first step. And this could look like, again, there's not just one way to do this. This could be writing down your food. This could be, weighing and measuring things for a period of time, 1 to 2 weeks, to just gain awareness about portion sizes and what am I actually consuming, right? Because a lot of people often think, well, I'm eating really clean, I'm barely eating, and I can't lose weight. So we need to figure out where you're actually at, right? Because if you're not losing weight, then you're eating too much food. And not that this is the only reason why we pay attention to what we eat. Also, we don't just pay attention to our diet when we want to lose weight, which is the other major problem that I see with people that track macros, is they only do it specifically to lose body fat or weight, and they don't actually learn anything about themselves and about keeping a healthy lifestyle forever, because they only ever do it for the sole purpose of getting smaller. And while, yes, it can help you do that, we shouldn't only be giving a shit about our nutrition because we want to be smaller. That's a very fucked up approach, excuse my language, to your health and wellness and well-being. So tracking your food isn't a one-size-fits-all, right? Again, multiple ways to do this. Food diary, weighing and measuring for a period of time, using something like MyFitnessPal, handwriting stuff. We just want to gain awareness to how many portion sizes of things we're eating on a daily basis and what we are consuming. That is the first step, for sure. But then there are multiple options and things that we can be doing to change how we are eating. And I would argue that this is the most important step when we want to change our diet and our lifestyle, is the how we are eating. Are you, currently not eating anything for breakfast, fasting, let's just say, right, till lunchtime, getting in 2 meals, and then binging all night long on snacks? Are you really inconsistent with your meals, meaning some days you have 3 meals, some days you have 5 meals, some days you have 1, and you're just all over the place? Are you waiting to the point of your body getting to the point of extreme hunger, and then you eat and you're eating really fast? Are you constantly eating to the point of being overstuffed? Are you having 1 cookie and you can't control yourself and it becomes 5? If we address those issues and the root causes behind those things, you are going to see lifelong results and constant return on investment here on the time that it's going to take to undo these things, because it is going to take time. These do not get fixed overnight, people. But the results will last a lifetime. Tracking food in MyFitnessPal does not fix any of those things. It could help bring awareness to those things. Again, in my experience from doing this myself and with others, it can definitely help bring awareness, but it usually just helps people be more restrictive because they can see how many calories they have left and they can resist and restrict based on that. But they don't actually learn anything about the biofeedback, about what their body's telling them, about what their body needs, and they miss that. And then when life hands them a full platter of shit that takes priority over weighing and measuring their food, they don't know what to do. And they're left scrambling and flailing and gaining weight a pound at a time every single week. And then 3 months later, they're annoyed, unhappy, unmotivated, and ashamed. And that's what I'm here to stop, because I hate that for you. So there is, if we can fix the how we are eating, the how we are approaching our food, you're going to be Gucci. Most people don't even need to do anything else. They fix those things and they get the results they want and they feel amazing, and we just keep rocking and rolling, right? The other thing is, when we look at and we consider, and this is where my transformation kind of took place, right? So let me back up here. Tracked macros, very familiar with what portion sizes look like, what 4 ounces of meat looks like, what, 45 grams of oatmeal looks like in the morning from practice, right? Now I can eyeball / use methods like the hand measuring tools from Precision Nutrition to better make my portion sizes for meals, right? So I still have awareness, a lot of awareness around what I'm eating and how much I'm eating. I also learned through a little bit of tracking macros, but more so when I educated myself on like what should be included in a balanced meal and what's going to help fuel my goals specifically. I can make those meals on repeat in my sleep. Gas station, restaurant, deli, McDonald's, no matter where I am, I can make it happen because I know that my meal should have a protein, a carb, a fat, and ideally some fruits or vegetables if I can, when I can. So I can do that no matter where I am. I don't need MyFitnessPal to, reassure me and pat me on the back and say, okay, you're good because you hit your carbs and your fats and your protein numbers for the day. I know what that looks like and what foods that consists of, so I can do that now on repeat. Anywhere, no matter where I am in the world. Doesn't matter. That skill, again, allows you to be successful in the restaurant, on vacation, in the gas station, literally no matter where you are. So having that and perfecting that over the years, it was arguably very easy to then ditch MyFitnessPal because I already know what my meals should look like. I have a really good idea about how much food I need on a daily basis. Very in tune with getting biofeedback, like how are my clothes fitting? How's my performance in the gym? Keeping an eyeball on the scale, mainly because I compete in a weight division sport, powerlifting. Otherwise, I personally don't really give a shit about the scale, but I know a lot of you listening do. So keeping an eye on my weight average, is it staying the same, fluctuating within 1 to 3-ish pounds, which is kind of like my personal fluctuations that I see, then I know I'm good. And through this practice, like I said, I know how to make my meals and know how many on a given day usually I need. And I'm also very in tune with the time between my meals and how I'm feeling in between meals. I, as often as I can, which sometimes with a kid this is impossible or work, but I try to eat before I get to the point I'm starving. Another huge thing that has helped me, um, both when I was tracking, but more so now that I'm not, I don't ever eat, and I can honestly say like pretty much ever, to the point of being stuffed. There's always a little bit left in the tank, if you will. I could eat a little bit more, but I don't. Um, I've worked through for years fixing my relationship with food, being okay with leaving food on my plate, having leftovers, and not eating the entire sleeve of Oreos, and knowing that I can just have Oreos every day because I'm an adult. I don't need to eat the whole sleeve because they're going to be gone tomorrow, you know? Or I don't need to eat the whole sleeve because I have the macros left to do so. These, again, habits and the how I eat food is how I've been so successful off of my fitness pal. I've dropped, you know, a good amount of body fat. I regretfully did not do consistent measurements after having the baby. It just wasn't on my priority list, but I have been using this one particular pair of jeans as my benchmark from the beginning. And I remember when I first put them on, about 6 or 7 weeks, I think it was, postpartum, I could barely button them. First few times, there was like, no. There's just like, there was no way. And then I finally got to a point where I could button them, but I was kind of uncomfortable, I'm not going to lie. Like sitting down wasn't my favorite thing to do in them. But I got them on and it just felt so good. And I felt so good that I was like able to wear jeans again. I missed wearing jeans when I was pregnant and then immediate in the postpartum. I had like the one pair of pregnancy jeans with, the big stretchy waistband, but like I missed my jeans. So I've been using that as my marker throughout this whole process. And they are now huge on me, literally huge. I have about 4 to 5 inches of pull away from my body. So I know my body fat has dropped. I've lost a little bit of weight and now I'm at a point where I've been maintaining my weight for going on 3 months now. And my strength, I'm hitting PRs in the gym just about every single week in my powerlifting program, whether it be rep PRs or weight PRs. And I've experienced little to no personal flare-ups with my SI joint, which is my kryptonite. Throughout this process. So I know my recovery is good. I know I'm eating enough food to support my training. And my physique is changing in the way that I want to see it changing. My muscle is becoming visible again. I'm building some new muscle, and eating enough to support that. Right. So that is because of the habits that I've built around food, not because of macros that I'm following. So again, the how I'm eating, how frequently I'm eating, not eating to the point of fullness, not eating very fast because I'm not sitting down to eat when I'm starving, ideally. This happens every once in a blue moon, and it is what it is. And this has given me the freedom to go out and enjoy all the great foods that life has to offer. Pizza and salad for lunch, great. I know how to get in an additional serving of protein throughout the day to compensate for that, right? And that has just come through practice, awareness of what I'm doing, practice getting more comfortable with portion sizes and eyeballing, and listening to my body, meaning the hunger cues, the fullness cues, the speed at which I'm eating, and the knowledge of how to build meals. And that, which, again, this took time to learn. This wasn't like an overnight thing. I've been practicing this for many, many years. But this has really allowed me to fully step away from tracking. I tracked like one day in the past, I think it was like 3 months, because I was just curious to see what my average calories were, where they were kind of sitting, and how I was doing. I just wanted to check in and see like, okay, cool. Am I really like as good as I think I am? And tooting my own horn, I was about right between 21 to 2,300 calories, which is typically my like maintenance. I was getting anywhere from, 130 to 150 grams of protein, which is like right in the sweet spot where I want to be. And The rest of my calories were going to carbs and fats, as they should be. Really not super concerned with those specific number wise. It's just I want to make sure I'm getting them in. And I was, still getting in some vegetables, still getting in some servings of fruit, all the things that I would normally do and work on. And people they're so focused on hitting these things when they're using MyFitnessPal and tracking their macros. And then when they're not, they don't keep doing them. That's why it appears that tracking macros works and everything else doesn't. Well, because your habits and lifestyle completely change from when you're tracking macros to when you're not. And that's the problem. They should look the same. If you're able to figure out how to make these things look the same, you can live a long, healthy life, crush your goals, drop body fat, even lose weight if that's what is important to you and that's what you need to do without tracking macros. You can still track and be accountable and be aware of what you're eating without the food scale. And it's possible. I've helped people do it. I'm doing it. And those principles, just to recap, so awareness around what you're eating, understanding of portion sizes and how to build a balanced meal, hunger and fullness cues, speed at what you're eating, and eating consistently throughout the day. Do those things, learn how to master them, everything changes. And you may arguably never need macros again. The only time I could foresee myself going back to tracking macros is if I need to make sure I hit weight for an upcoming competition. Because even if I want to drop a little bit more body fat before the summertime comes and I'm in a bikini, a couple times on vacation, I know what adjustments I can make in my day right now without having to even resort to going back to MyFitnessPal. Very easy for me. I know exactly what I would need to change. And I can adjust how much food I'm intaking like that. So hopefully that gives you some insight on what I did, what is possible for you if you are wanting this and you're like, oh my God, I need this. It is possible. If you're not sure where to start, there's a couple opportunities that you can take a part of. I am reopening my doors to my group program, Fit Like a Mother, in this month, February. Doors will open to the waitlist on the 14th. First 5 people will get a additional 30-minute consult call with me so I can help you kind of design all these things and what we need to focus on, like what we were just kind of talking about. I'll link that in the show notes. I have a wait list to work with me one-on-one. We'll potentially be taking in some new clients either in March or April. This is really just depends on my current roster and if someone leaves and if a spot opens or doesn't. And you can, of course, connect with me on Instagram. Shoot me any questions you may have. I'll link all of that in the show notes as well. And if you're ready to just kind of get started with some of this on your own and you want to take a little quiz to see how your diet is currently stacks up and your current lifestyle and behaviors, I will drop the link to a free resource that I have. You can take a little quiz and just figure out what next steps for you to take and implement on your own. It's a great place to start as well. I will leave all of that for you in the show notes. Please be sure to like and follow this episode if you found it helpful. Share with a friend, and feel free to let me know your thoughts about the episode and leave me a comment below. Thank you, and I will talk to you guys soon.